Hello, everyone. I hope everybody's having a great day today. I'm really excited about today's show. Today's show is really what we're doing right now, which is social media. The power of social media to build relationships, build connections is just tremendous. And I think we lose sight of that sometimes in some of the posts that we see, but it's a really powerful tool. And it's a powerful tool that I have in the last plus year of doing this show have really loved interacting with people, reconnecting with people, and building new relationships like the relationship with my new friend, our guest today. And a lot of industries are using social media to engage with the public and to build trust and to build relationships. And so that's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about how police departments and police officers around the country can use social media as a tool to foster better community engagement and better relations so that we can make our communities better and safer places to live. Hey, everybody, this is Morris Lilienthal, and welcome to the Mo Show Live. I am a trial lawyer in Huntsville, Alabama, and I'm excited to have our guest on today. And before we get started, if you've got questions or comments, please let us know in the feed. I'll be watching the comments. If you want to say hello, if you're watching the replay and you want to have questions or want to get feedback, put it in the comments, and we'll monitor the comments after the show and get back with you. So my guest today is Officer Mike Bires of the Azusa, California Police Department. Mike is a graduate of, I think it's pronounced Rio Hondo College, major in criminal justice and political science. Mike served 4 years in the U.S. Army. He's a 25-year plus veteran in the law enforcement. He's a senior officer with the Azusa Police Department. Mike is also founder and co-owner of LawEnforcement.Social, which is an organization that trains law enforcement and police officers and helps them with their online presence, websites, and social media, and how to build the engagement that we're talking about today. And he's also one of the co-hosts of the Bolo podcast, which talks about nutrition and wellness and fitness for law enforcement. And I can tell you, it's really funny. He and his co-host have a great rapport. I listened to an episode the other day working out and really thoroughly enjoyed it. Mike, I know you got a lot on your plate. I really appreciate you joining me this morning. How are you doing?
I'm doing excellent. And, I do have a lot on my plate, but whenever it comes to spreading the good word and the efforts that we can do as law enforcement officers and agencies on social media out to our communities, hey, I'll always take a break from what I'm doing and let's talk about it.
Well, I'm excited to talk to you today, and it's really interesting and intriguing to me to see how law enforcement agencies can use social media as a powerful tool in a positive way to engage with the public and build that rapport and trust that I think can make all of our communities safer and better. Before we get started with that, I just thought I'd have just a quick background question. Was, Mike, what attracted you to law enforcement? I mean, was there somebody in your family? Was it your military career that kind of naturally led into that?
I wanted to be a law enforcement officer ever since the early days of watching Chips and watching these dudes in Southern California ride down the highways on motorcycles in the sunny air and and then there was Adam 12 and just all these other cop shows. And then I became a police explorer scout and got to do some ride-alongs. And I really just got bit with the bug of the adrenaline and the excitement and the service to the community. So.
Well, that's awesome. Well, thank you and any officers that may be watching for their service to the community, because it's a thankless job. So tell us, a little bit. So I know with your department in California, are you actively engaged and involved with the social media with your department, and tell us a little bit about the size of your department and what you how many officers and what you do in terms of social media for your department.
Yeah, so the city of Azusa is located about 22 miles east of the city of Los Angeles, and we're about 13.1 square miles patrol area. We're at the base of the San Gabriel Mountains, and we have a population of about 48,000 residents that escalates during the daytime because we're home to Azusa Pacific University, which is a highly ranked and well-known private Christian university. And our department embarked on the idea of a custom website and social media. We began the idea back in 2012 when our chief at that time had come forward. He knew I had some skills with building websites, and he asked me, "Hey, Mike, can you please, do something for us?" And I did. And he also said, "Hey, look into this thing called social media." And I had no clue about it. I had no understanding why why somebody would want to post photos of what they're eating, or, why would I want to see 2,000 pictures of people's abs that I definitely don't have? And I just didn't get the concept. And so we went through a whole bunch of trials and tribulations with designing the program, what the protocols were going to be, how were we going to address certain issues that come about on social media, and on top of that, we had to break away from the city. Traditionally, a city has the website, and you have the police departments and fire departments that have a page off of that website. We knew we were going to have a lot of increase in traffic. We were going to have questions. We were going to have people that were going to be exposed to our police department throughout the entire nation. So we wanted to have a strong presence as far as a website was concerned. And so we did that. It took us some time. We had to get some buy-in from the city council, as well as members of the community, members of the department, which was funny because a lot of the officers were resistant at first. They didn't want anything to do with having photos and videos on social media. And it's actually completely reversed now, because they recognize the power that social media has, not only for helping us exemplify the Azusa Police Department in a positive manner, but also the law enforcement profession in a positive manner. And when we do have those little stumbling blocks, that all organizations, regardless whether they're law enforcement, private business, medical community, fire community, whenever there are issues that arise in the community, by having social media out there, this allows us to have vetted some positive influences and support from the community. And so in 2014, on January 1, we launched our program. We launched the website. I had very little knowledge about social media. And 14 days later, we had no idea, but we had a major wildland fire hit the mountains right above our town. We had mandatory evacuations. And we immediately took, in fact, I wrote a white paper about it, baptism by fire, and I got baptism by fire on how to tweet, Facebook, YouTube, everything within a period of, it was about 72 hours. And from there, it's been nothing but success.
Yeah, well, I can see that where you would have some resistance in doing, in the last couple of years, we've seen a lot of, I guess, disconnect maybe between, some communities and law enforcement for various reasons. And I feel like that social media may be a way to rebuild that connection and build those bridges between law enforcement and the local communities. Have you found that to be true?
Absolutely. I have, on a daily basis, whether I'm in the patrol car and I look to my right and somebody will be waving to me and they'll roll down the window and go, "Hey, I see you on Facebook." Or I'm at a call, but not just me. Other officers have said that, because we've used their photo or their videos, and they'll say, "Hey, I saw you on, Twitter, or I saw you on Instagram." And then all of a sudden they strike up a conversation. And social media, in the realm that we're using it, truly being social, which we've even stepped that game up in the last 2 weeks, which I'll get to in a little bit. But social media, bonding with the community, they feel more like they can come up and talk to us. We don't want to be the aloof, hard-nosed, black and white, just the facts, ma'am, person from the 60s.
Yeah, Jeff Roddy.
That's not law enforcement today. Absolutely not.
Well, can you, first I want to thank some people, Tamara McCormick, our friend Tamara McCormick, Margaret Martin from here in Alabama for joining us, and a couple other people. Tamara wanted to know, Mike, do you feel that your department is more transparent with the residents of Azusa now through your use of social media?
Absolutely. And I think any agency that's going to do social media had better make that I don't know if it would be a philosophy. They have to be transparent. You cannot go on social media and think you're going to not say some stuff, not acknowledge others, and just push, do one-way communication, what we call broadcasting in social media. If you think you're just going to give people info and not respond back and not answer those hard questions, it's not going to work. It absolutely will not work. And we've seen plenty of agencies, especially in the last 4 years, that have gotten involved in situations that have gotten national attention, and had those agencies had a social media program where they had dialogue with their community, I think the outcome would have been a lot better. And I can also tell you on a personal standpoint, I've become a better police officer because of social media for reasons that the ACLU, I know this is strange hearing from a cop, but for reasons that the ACLU has kind of brought to light. Meaning, and I know you're dying because you're an attorney. You're going, oh, dude, I got to hear what you're talking about. Here's what I mean. ACLU, they raise questions. They raise tough questions, and I'll admit there's times that I'm going, okay, you guys are wrong, absolutely wrong on this. However, when they started demanding law enforcement agencies, we want video cameras, we want to see the video, we want to see the video. Great, okay. Guess what? We're going to give you video. We're going to give you video of everything. But guess what? You're going to take all of it too. You're going to take the good stuff where the cops are doing amazing things every day that nobody ever sees because it doesn't make the 6 o'clock news. You're going to see the people that treat us horrible. I mean, just wretched, from calling us every name in the book, getting in our face, spitting on us, punching us, stabbing us, shooting us. You're going to see it all. So if you want the video, you got it. And by doing that, it has brought transparency, and it has caused our department or our community to now they take away and go take a look around and they go, hey, you know what? We're going to back up the men and women in blue in our city because they're doing a good job. So yeah.
Well, you're holding everybody accountable, and accountability, whether you're talking about in your profession, in my profession, or in something else I know you're really passionate about, and that's fitness and nutrition. Holding yourself accountable to anything by being transparent will make those that are the cream of the crop rise to the top and let those people shine. And the bad apples, hey, you want those to fall by the wayside. They need to fall by the wayside so you can build that community engagement. Hey, everybody, again, it's Morris Lilienthal with the Mo Show Live, and my guest today is Officer Mike Bires of the Azusa, California Police Department, and we're talking about what a powerful tool social media can be for police departments and police officers to build better community engagement. Mike, can you share just a little bit, if we've got any officers watching or people with departments or even in other industries for that matter, what are some of the things that you guys do at your department and that you're encouraging when you're teaching and working with other departments around the country, how they can use social media to engage with the public?
Well, I think number one is if a department is not on social media and they're not sharing their story, I can tell you right now, somebody's going to tell your story today. And it's either going to be you or the public. And I can guarantee you, most of the time, the public's going to get it wrong. Or there's going to be speculation, or there's going to be, jumping to conclusions, or there's simply going to be the hater out there that hates your department or hates law enforcement in general, and they'll tell the story for you. So the other thing is there is so much media, so many news generating events in a day that the news media on the 4, 5, 6 o'clock news can only cover so much. And that means if you as a department have something important to tell your community, then, it used to be 10 years ago, you were out. Your story, you might give a news release. If the news picks it up, great. If they don't, they don't. Now the departments can control it. And I even had a news reporter tell me 2 weeks ago when I was doing a news release, and I said, oh yeah, we just did a Facebook Live, but I can come down and do it on camera. And she did not like the fact that I did a Facebook Live. She says, that's great for you guys, but it doesn't help us out. Well, we're number one. Our department is number one, and our community is number one. So we're going to serve them first, and then if you pick up the story, great, excellent. So telling your story is important, and also showing who your department is. I constantly get asked a lot by administrators as well as maybe management staff that don't have a program. They get all nutted up and worried about haters and people that are going to make bad comments. And how do you deal with controversial stuff that's posted on social media? Got news for you. If you don't think they're talking bad about you now, then you need to get out of the profession, because I'll tell you, people are talking bad about us. However, when it's addressed right in front of the entire, 303 million people of this world on Facebook, or not 303 million people are population here in the United States, and they're using Facebook. And we already know, Mark Zuckerberg's intent on world domination. We know that. And so we know how powerful Facebook is. Why aren't we on there letting the world see how professional our organization is? And then when those tough questions get asked, and I say this to everybody, regardless what profession you are in and you're doing social media, when the tough questions get asked, the snide comments get laid out there, the people that want to get on their soapbox about the First Amendment, Second Amendment, Fourth Amendment, and they get out there, this is a perfect opportunity for your department or business or organization to let your customer service shine. This is your opportunity to show how professional and how awesome your department is. So when people do that and they talk negatively about us, or they're just not happy with our service, hey, sometimes it helps to just say, yeah, we're sorry you had a bad experience. What can we say or do to make you feel better?
Right.
And the other thing is when, and this is where we kind of laugh about it, when we do get the haters and trolls that start going on Facebook, hey, all they're doing is firing up the Facebook algorithm, and they're causing our department to get more traction on social media. We get more exposure, and when we've got more exposure because they just keep on laying the digs in there, yet we're acting professional and we're responding to those hard questions, makes us look great.
Well, I think that's great feedback, and I hear that from pushback in our industry about lawyers getting involved in social and fear of the negative. And people who are going to be negative and people who are going to be those trolls are doing that anyway, and you can't let that fear of that small subset control your ability to take something that's powerful like social media for the benefits that are out there by the small potential negative. And I don't even know if it's negative. I think if you respond properly, as you're saying, professionally, and certainly if there are negative things out there, if somebody in your department, if somebody at my office does something that's wrong or we drop the ball, hey, we want to know about it so we can make any corrections that we can, and so we can improve, do better customer service the next time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I got to tell you, this is just fresh in everybody's mind. This incident that happened down in Florida yesterday with the bridge. I guess immediately prior to that, somewhere within the last couple of days, or maybe it was right before they put this thing online, somebody that was in supervision or leadership of that university or something said, hey, this is leading the way. This is great. This is the best, blah, 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 laid out this whole social media post about it. And next thing you know, this thing comes down and kills people. And I got to tell you, and I saw their response. They said, yeah, we're heartbroken. We're looking into this. I got to tell you, that was a hard one. I've been thinking about it all night. How would you address it? How would you address a PR nightmare like that? Not just for, like, I know if I put something out like that, I would genuinely inside, I would feel heartbroken and crushed that something like that happened. And all I can hope is that people realize that when something like that happens, don't beat up the messenger. But we've seen that, Mo, on social media. We've seen some horrendous how people treat other people, even when it's not their fault.
Right.
Sorry, I got on my soapbox on that.
No,
it's on the forefront of my mind. How are we going to address that?
It's kind of like any of these tragedies that unfortunately we see in our country right now. There's not sometimes an easy way to address it, and sometimes there's not an easy solution. But it doesn't mean you don't try to address it. It doesn't mean you don't try to move forward and try to find some common ground to make gains in whatever we're talking about, whether it's gun control, whether it's other things that we're talking about. Mike, I'm curious, just, I can see, and I was talking with somebody about having you on, and they have some law enforcement in their family. I've got to imagine you kind of touched on this earlier, but do you get a lot of pushback from individual officers about being on social and doing that? I can just hear people saying, hey, look, there's so much vitriol and hate spread about what we do. They're questioning what we do in the news and doing, or I can see them saying, hey, we roll up on a scene or something, and next thing I know, I've got somebody's camera and I'm on Facebook Live and doing. I mean, how do you address that? How do you get officers and departments to try to engage this? And I guess it goes back to what we've talked about, but do you share success stories or tell them, hey, look, we need to be an open book. We need to have transparency.
Yeah, and it took us a little bit. It took us, I'd say, about 2 years to finally get. I think we only, out of our department, and we have about somewhere around 58, 60 officers on our department. I think there's one or two that absolutely ain't going to have anything to do with social media, and I respect that. The department respects that, but the majority of the department realizes they've seen how we've used it to catch criminals, and we've put, hey, we're looking for the subject, or we'll put a video of a crime, and we're solving crimes, and then also when they see the flooding of messages, and we'll print them off and post them throughout the station. Because look, I don't care how hard and crusty John Wayne, Clint Eastwood you think you are walking down the station in your uniform, you can't help when you look to the side on the bulletin board and your name's mentioned as helping somebody have a great day, or saving someone's life, or just doing things that we take for granted, and somebody gave reference to you, you cannot help but feel good. And when you feel good, that you have an aura about you, coworkers feel good, the department feels good, things are positive. And so I don't get so much pushback anymore, at very, very, very minimal. And yeah, it's just good. But here's my reason. Now I'm going to go back onto my political soapbox a little bit, and I'm going to say, look, as police officers, how can we go in front of our city council and say, hey, it's been a while since we've had a cost of living raise, or hey, we would like to get this benefit, this coverage for our wives and children, in case we're, killed in the line of duty or whatever. How can you go and ask the people to support you, as well as the city council, in your request, if you are doing nothing to show them of all the great stuff you do? Think about that. That is ridiculous. If you're an agency that says, no, we're not doing any social media, okay, well, then you're taking all the proof of all the good work you do and you're flushing it down the toilet.
Yeah.
All right, I'm off that soapbox.
No, and I think that's good, but I think it probably is a two-way street. I've got to imagine when you're engaging, you and individual officers in the department are engaging your local community, once they start to see that and they're receptive of that, I imagine as that has grown over the years, you're getting messages back, emails and things back with great pictures of, officers pulling over and helping somebody who's at a flag, or people doing good, or, some kid like my son walking up and wanting to get a picture in the patrol car, stuff like that. I'm sure you're seeing heartwarming stories that are now being told by the public and being shared with you because you've reached out to them through social media.
Yes, absolutely. We get it all the time. User-generated content. We get people giving us photos and videos and making comments, positive comments about us all the time. It's huge. And you remember I said earlier on in the beginning of the show, we've just adjusted something in the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and that is, with Facebook's change in that they're saying, hey, look, businesses, pages, we're not going to give you priority anymore. We want to see person-to-person communication. And so what that's done is what we've done is we've created a Facebook group so that now people can communicate and comment on our stories. And in fact, I shared this show into that group. So our members of our community could see, hey, what exactly is the big thing with social media and law enforcement? It's not just typing something out and pushing and sending a picture out there. There is so much involved when we do something on social media. So now when I respond, I'm responding from my profile, my Facebook profile of Mike Bires. Now, granted, I have all my security settings, locked down, and I do not. I publicly have made this out to my community. Hey, I do not accept friend requests. I have, that's for my family, and I know this is I'm telling you right now, this is gonna cause a little bit of a rift in the law enforcement community, because there's only so far some law enforcement social media managers are gonna go. And when you talk about, wait a second, you now want me to comment on with my personal, game's over. So.
Right. Well, I guess that's up to each department and each individual officer. Do you encourage officers, through some of your training and your experience, do you find that in addition to the department themselves, I know following you on social, I see that you're very active on social and various platforms and showing that, your human side, I would like to say, letting
Right,
people
right.
know who you are outside the uniform, whether it's your interest in wellness and fitness, or what other interest you have, or your interest, I think, to be an aspiring rapper. I've seen you rapping on Instagram.
This is true, my friend. This is true.
But do you find that that's a positive, that a lot of the people, that departments should allow people to connect with the officers on more of a humanistic level? Do you think that's helpful?
Yeah, and that's been interesting because when this whole thing of social media came out and the policies were written with departments, those policies came out before departments started embracing using social media for their own interests, the department's interests. So when social media came about, we started seeing some officers kind of posting some questionable stuff.
Right.
Policies were made that said, hey, look, you are not going to do this. You cannot mention the department. You can't wear the department's insignias. You can't do anything. And now we're in this interesting area right now because it used to be also personal and professional social media. They needed to be split, period. There was no way you could intermix the two. Well, look what's happening. We have to. And those people that follow me on my private social media, I'm doing so for a purpose, and I have a specific purpose of allowing people to see me. I have no. The only thing I have locked down is my Facebook. That's it. Instagram, Twitter, that's all open. YouTube's open. But the point is, I want people to see what is the life of a police officer off duty, the whole thing. I want people to see that, yes, I'm struggling just like every other American in this country to lose some weight. I'm trying to keep myself healthy. I'm not the mecca of fitness, even though I often joke about being the mecca of fitness. I'm not. I got a lot of strides I got to make. I go through the trials and tribulations that everybody else does of raising kids. I know what it's like staying up late, getting up in the middle of the night. I'm sharing that with the community. Also, I'm showing them, hey, you don't realize all the stuff that we as police officers do for free for the community. Like,
Right.
I will respond on Facebook when somebody has need, when they have a genuine need, and I got to respond now, and it can't wait till Monday when I come back on duty. I'll get up and I'll respond. They're not paying for that. There's no tax dollars that are going for that. That's me
Right.
genuinely caring about my community. So you will see me doing funny stuff, sometimes in uniform. I'm still going to keep a level of professionalism about it. And then you're going to see me in plain clothes out at the river on the boat. I'm just trying to show people, hey, I'm human. I get injured. I have good times. I have bad times too. And so that's where we're in this kind of interesting era right now with social media. I will tell you this, on the simplest form of individual officers using social media, I would say this. They definitely need to exercise good judgment. I've seen plenty of officers that just, well, I'm just going to say it. They've done some stupid stuff on social media, really dumb. And I would say you got to know what you're doing. That's a whole nother show.
Yeah, yeah. Well, are there resources that if anybody's watching that's in law enforcement, that their department or individual officers want to learn more about this, Mike, where would you say, can they reach out to you? Are there other resources
Sure.
that your department uses or you recommend?
Yeah, if you type in Officer Mike Bires in Google, you'll find plenty of resources to get you to navigate over to where I'm camped out on social media on the web. You can obviously contact us at the Azusa Police Department by all means. And because I'm so passionate about this for my department, I'm really not I'm not going to direct anybody to my side business, but I'm just going to say reach out to us at the Azusa Police Department, and we'll be more than happy to share our experiences and techniques that we use and what you can do if you're a law enforcement agency to better promote yourself in your community.
I guess I closed. Do you have, since y'all been so active, I'm just curious, have you got some story or that you would go to if people ask you for a memorable story where your outreach, the department's outreach through social media has really made a difference in either solving a crime or brought to light some really good human interest story or something that sticks out that social media has really made a big difference? Anything
Yeah,
stick out?
well, you know what? We've actually had We've had a lot. I say a lot. We've just been very blessed with some good coverage. But the most notable, which a lot of people might know, is there was a video we produced. I believe it was back in November, just this last November. And what had happened is one of our lieutenants was in a coffee shop, and this lady had given a envelope to the person serving the coffee, and they decided, hey, we're going to give this to this officer. They gave him the note. He opened it up, and it was this person was doing 58 random acts of kindness in memory of the shooting victims of the Las Vegas of 1 October that happened in Las Vegas. And we didn't know who this person was, and it was I can't remember, was this the fourth act, and it was in the memory of, and they had the victim's name. So the officer came back. He showed me, hey, look what I got. I immediately looked at this thing and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's gold. Let's go back to the shop. We did some research, found out that the victim that unfortunately did not survive the shooting was from 2 cities over. And so we just started pulling data and info off the web. We created something very simple, and we put this video up, and it ended up going to, I think, 1,500,000 people. And we purposely wrote that to take the light off of our department, but make sure that we kept the memory of this girl alive that we never met, and she wasn't necessarily from our community, to bring her memory alive for her parents, as well as to keep 1 October in the minds of people. And it worked. It was phenomenal. And again, it wasn't for our department. It was for the event, unfortunately. The second thing that hasn't been launched yet is we had a little girl come into our police department. I believe she's 10 years old. She's a Girl Scout, and she, for the last couple of years, has been collecting all these stuffed animals. And she's asked, in lieu of birthday presents, that family members give her stuffed animals. And what she did is she collected them, brought them to the police department, said, listen, I know that police officers sometimes have to deal with kids that are in bad situations. Maybe they're being taken out of their home. Maybe something happened to their parents or their brothers or sisters, and they have to sit here in this cold, dark police station. Give them a stuffed animal. And so we now have all these stuffed animals. Well, I'm compiling all the video, the photo footage we take. I don't even know. I don't know if I'm going to do a video of her talking. Am I going to do a still quiet video? I have to look for what's going to do the maximum effect. Again, even though we're going to push it out, it's not about the Azusa Police Department. It's about this effort of this young little Girl Scout and how amazing her heart is. And so that's on my plate for this weekend. And that's going to take a lot of psychology and a lot of, this one might test me. This one might test me to see what we can do. But overall, to answer your question, yes, we've had just an amazing experience on social media.
Well, that's an awesome story. I'm looking forward to seeing that video when you get it produced and doing it and sharing and highlighting what she's doing, because that can will give her motivation to continue and help maybe foster that effort,
Yeah.
and certainly inspire other children that maybe have that. But I dare say that wouldn't have happened, that her reaching out to you and you being able to do this, if you hadn't built this space of community relations through social media.
Right.
Mike, I want to be mindful of your time and if people want to connect well, before I do this, I was going to say connect with you, but the other thing I was going to say was, do you encourage, if we've got people watching, for them to connect with their local police department, if they've got social media, to follow them on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and all the other platforms? It seems to me that's something that people should definitely be doing.
Yeah, and I think it's even more important, like I said, in the last 2 weeks with Facebook changing their algorithm, I think everybody, regardless of whether you're a law enforcement agency or a business, a private business, everybody needs to find those people that are your champions, that are championing your cause, okay, and that are the ones that are constantly always giving you the thumbs up, the heart symbols, making valuable comments on your post. I think you need to grab those people, take them out to coffee and say, listen, I need a little help from you. And here's what I need. I need you to become part of my team, my tribe. And I need you to help me spread the word of the department. So every time we do this, please, share it. Please speak up, because the more, and look, let's face it, people love, especially when it comes to police departments, people love being somehow connected with us. And so they're going to do that and help us spread our word. And so, yes, I do encourage departments, reach out to your community, get them involved in your efforts for your branding and your marketing of your agency.
Yeah. Well, I really encourage everybody to do that and I'm just getting involved with the show today. I've reached out to one of our local departments. I'm going to reach out to some others. I'm going to be following them. And I know for one thing that we do here that my wife has found real helpful, sort of related to this, is Nixle. We get Nixle alerts and doing, that's really helpful about traffic and things that are going on in the community. If you're not a part of that for your local department, I would encourage you. That's a good social media tool to get text alerts on that. Mike, how can people connect with your department and connect with you online? And we can put that here in the comments as well.
Yeah, so they can follow us, the Azusa Police Department, on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. We have the same handle everywhere, at Azusa PD, AZUSA PD. And then they can follow me. I'm also all over the spectrum, at iSocialCop.
Perfect. Mike, thank you so much for your time. And again, everybody, this is Officer Mike Bires of the Azusa Police Department. We've been talking today about how police departments can use social media to better engage with the public, to foster better relationships, to develop better communities. Mike, thanks so much for your time, and I really appreciate it and look forward to talking to you soon.
Absolutely. My pleasure, sir.
Thank you.